All right, and we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, we are going to now get into talking about the Commanders and their win over the Panthers, despite Jayden Daniels getting hurt early on in this game. So he suffered a rib injury. Right now, he's considered week to week. They're hopeful that he could play in Week 8 against the Bears. And they moved that game back to a better time slot because we were going to see Caleb Williams and Jayden Daniels face off, the first two picks in the draft, but that might not be the case. We might be seeing Marcus Mariota against Caleb Williams, and Marcus Mariota played really well in this game. I know it was against the Panthers, but still, he did play well. So let's kind of go through it. Commanders actually are now 5-2 on the season, and I had them winning 4 games. So, and again, that was basically off of the fact that, I thought the Eagles and the Cowboys were going to be better. I thought the Giants, would win their matchup against them. They did not. Probably going to get swept by the Commanders. And the Commanders don't have a good defense. But no, the defense has been playing well. They played well in this game. So let's kind of go through it. So the Panthers got the ball to start off the game. And they're driving. They're in Commanders territory. And then Andy Dalton throws a pick 6 to Dante Fowler. A 67-yard return. So that made it 7-0 Commanders. Panthers then punted. Commanders got the ball. Jayden Daniels, a 46-yard run. That led to a Seibert field goal. So that made it 23-yarder. That made it 10-0. And then Andy Dalton threw yet another interception. Jayden Daniels. Actually, he did get hurt on that drive. And Mariota came in and played the rest of the way. And like I said, played really well. In the second quarter, Brian Robinson scored an 8-yard touchdown, so that made it 17-0. Panthers turned it over on downs. Commanders scored on another field goal by Seibert, a 49-yard field goal, so that made it 20-0. Panthers punted. Commanders turned that into a touchdown. Mariota connected with Zach Ertz for a 12-yard touchdown. Yes, we got a Marcus Mariota to Zach Ertz touchdown in 2024. So, 27-0 Commanders at the half. Then they scored on their first drive of the second half, 10 plays, 59 yards. Mariota connected with the rookie tight end, Sinat, for a touchdown from 3 yards out. So, 34-0. Then it was 37-0, another Seibert field goal, 31 yards out. And then the Panthers did get on the board. We had a Chuba Hubbard touchdown from 4 yards out, so that made it 37-7. Another Seibert field goal in the fourth quarter. This one was from 29 yards out, and the Commanders win 40-7. Mariota, 18-23, 205 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Brian Robinson Jr., 12 carries for 71 yards and a touchdown. Jayden Daniels had 50 yards on the ground. McNichols, 42 yards on the ground. Mariota, 34. Eckler, 17. Commanders running attack, 214 yards in this game and a rushing touchdown. Terry McLaurin, 6 receptions for 98 yards. Zach Ertz, 4 for 40 and a touchdown. Olamide Zaccheaus, he had 4 for 25. De'Ami Brown had 1 for 23. Noah Brown had 1 for 16. Couple of interceptions, like I said. Emmanuel Forbes had the second one. Dante Fowler, he had the pick 6. Commanders defense, 2 sacks. Seibert, 4 for 4 on extra points and 4 for 4 on field goals. As for the Panthers, Andy Dalton went 11 of 16 for 93 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Bryce Young did come in the game. He went 2 for 2, but it was for -4 yards. The Panthers on the ground, 52 yards by Chuba Hubbard. He had a rushing touchdown. Miles Sanders had 34. The leading receiver was the tight end, Jaytavion Sanders. He had 6 receptions for 61 yards. Deontay Johnson, 1 for 17. Panthers defense, no sacks in this game, or 1 sack in the game, my apologies. And then Eddie Pinheiro was 1 for 1 in extra points. So, not great for the Panthers. They continue to struggle. That Andy Dalton and that offense. I mean, they looked good against the Raiders, but since then, not so much. And I had to really double check on this. So on the Sleeper app for fantasy, all right, I was looking at his stats. He finished with I couldn't believe this. I really, again, I'm still looking just to make sure that this is true. Andy Dalton finished with .02 fantasy points. How is that possible? How is that possible? He only had 93 yards passing, and then the 2 picks. I've never seen that. I've never seen that, especially with the guy that pretty much played the whole game. So, yeah, the Panthers are they're not a good football team. That's a team that has a lot of problems. Defensively, I mean, on the offensive line, they need more. I mean, it's just they got the Broncos next who have a good defense, then maybe the Saints with Derek Carr. And this I cannot believe is an international game. Week 10, you got the Giants and the Panthers playing in Germany. Who made that? Why? But that's what they decided to do. So, but yeah, Panthers are not a good football team. They're at the bottom. And then yeah, I mean the Commanders. I mean I give them a lot of credit. And again, I told you why I didn't have them winning a lot of games this year. I didn't think Jayden Daniels was going to be a bust or anything like that. I never really came out and was, strong one way or the other. I mean, well, I definitely didn't think he was going to be a bust. But I just thought that the Commanders, they still had a lot of building that they had to do with this team. They signed some veteran guys this offseason. They signed Eckler. They signed Ertz. They signed Bobby Wagner. Dante Fowler, who, scored the touchdown. But I just still thought, there was still a lot of work to do with this team. However, they are ahead of schedule. They look like one of the best teams. They're a top 10 team right now. I got to see how I'm going to do my top 5 tomorrow. We'll see. But they're a solid team. And yeah, I mean, got to give them credit. Really got to give them credit. And, I don't think this Jayden Daniels injury is going to, be long term. It doesn't seem like that. But you know what? If Mariota could keep him afloat, he's a veteran guy. And you would have thought Jayden Daniels was playing on Sunday with some of the things Mariota was able to do. And Mariota fits the system because he also is a mobile quarterback. So, as long as Jayden Daniels is not out long term, they're going to be okay. But it doesn't seem like that. He's only going to be week to week, it appears. So, but yeah, you got to like the direction they're heading in. I mean, you look at this division, the Eagles have not played great, like I said before. The Cowboys are a mess. And we talked about the Giants already. Commanders are winning this division. They're making the playoffs. I would like to see how they stack up against, some of these other teams. We saw them go up against the Ravens, and they played a good game. They lost a close one, but they played a good game there. Against the Bears, that's, we'll see what they do. The Bears have a good defense. Caleb Williams is playing well, and now he's coming off of a bye, so you would think that he's going to be even better because they've been starting to run the football better. It's going to be a good game, regardless of Mariota. If it's Mariota, if it's Jayden Daniels, it's going to be a good game. But yeah, let's kind of look at the Commanders' schedule here. So you got the Bears this week. Then you got the Giants. That should be a win. Home against the Steelers, I mean, look, that could go either way. At the Eagles, that's a Thursday night game. I'm curious to see how that game's going to go. Home against the Cowboys. Home against the Titans. I mean, in my opinion, those should be 2 wins. At the Saints, they should win that game. Home against the Eagles. They played really well against the Eagles last year, and they went 0-2. So now, look at how they're playing this year. I mean, I think they should at least get a split with the Eagles, but we'll see. Home against the Falcons. I mean, the Falcons, I can't figure them out. That should be a win, maybe. And then at the Cowboys at the end of the year. I mean, Commanders could finish with 10, 11 wins. Yeah, I was completely wrong on them. And like I said, I'll own up to it. I will own up to it. I was not familiar with Jayden Daniels' game, even though it was Mariota who played yesterday. But Yeah, they look good. They look good. But yeah, let me know what you guys think though about this game. What were some of your takeaways from it? Let me know in the comments. We're going to take one final break here. When we come back, we will talk about the NFC West. We'll kind of go over that division, and how it's close. It's close. Every team except for the Niners won. Cardinals picking up a win last night. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens going forward, and with injuries and guys coming back from injury, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, this division definitely is different, looking different, and again, it could change next week. Things could be completely different next week, but for right now, yeah, it's pretty close. So we'll talk about it when we return from our last break of the show. So for one final time today, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.